Now it's saying right here, then were the days of unleavened bread. Why are they still talking about the days of unleavened bread? Why is the writer still talking about this? If the days of unleavened bread, the feast days were done away with when Jesus died, what's this doing here?
Still good.
Then what the day, and what comes before the day of unleavened bread?
Passover.
The Passover. But then we saw some scriptures that they called the Passover unleavened bread too, didn't we? Then were the days of unleavened bread. So if it's done with, then what it's doing right here in Acts the 2nd chapter? Why is that? Whoever is writing is right here, I'm sure it's Israel. I'm positive it's the Israelite. Why is he still talking about the days of unleavened bread if it's done away with?
Still good.
Go ahead and read though.
Verse 4.
Uh-huh.
And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 cordons of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people.
Now wait a minute now, you see that? Intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So you know, oh yeah, Easter in the Bible, yeah. Okay, it is. Well, show me how you're supposed to keep it then. Show me how you're supposed to keep it. Because you don't see nothing about no eggs and hot cross buns. You don't see none of that stuff in here, do you? So show me in the Bible. Yeah, Easter in the Bible. I'm going to show you though something about this Easter though. But show me how you're supposed to keep it. God gave you the Passover. He gave you Feast of Unleavened Bread. He gave you Pentecost. And he showed you how to keep this. He told you or commanded you how to keep this, didn't he? Well, show me how you're supposed to keep Easter then. Show me in the Bible though, not because I'm going to show you. That's the only way you're going to find out how to keep this Easter is that man is keeping is if you go to an encyclopedia or a dictionary or something. That's the only way because you ain't going to find it in the Bible. So he said, and when he had apprehended him, he put him in a prison and delivered him to 4 quarterings of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Now, let's look at this Easter for a minute.
Yes, sir.
You understand? Let's go to Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. Let's look at this Easter. Because, you know, they were intending on to be something else. They meant something else by this Easter. Because no Israelites kept no Easter.
No, sir.
They kept the Passover, didn't they?
Yes, indeed.
They kept the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And these are the first century Christians. These are the first Christians. But go ahead and read though.
This is Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. Easter, in parentheses, Passover.
Oh, this is what they meant by this Easter. So it's like a typo then, ain't it? Because the Israelites of the first century, they didn't keep no Easter. Now they talk now the Gentiles and all, they might have kept Easter. But the Israelites, they didn't keep Easter. They kept the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But you see that though? Easter, in parentheses, what? Passover. But go ahead and read a little more.
Says Easter. Rendered Easter in Acts 12:4, King James verse. But correctly translated Passover.
But correctly translated what? Passover.
In ASV.
Okay. Now, but you know, I often wonder how you gonna take this Easter, and I'm gonna show you a little later on what I'm talking about. Take this name Easter, seeing where it come from. We're gonna show you where it come from, and place it with God, and put it into His Bible, and then put it and link Him to this. How you gonna link Christ to this? I'm gonna show you that this Easter, where it come from, the name, original name, that is an abomination.
Yes, sir.
So how you gonna put this to God? You know, link this with God or link this with Jesus? You finished that?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
It says, the day on which the church celebrates the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Now, when the Lord tells you to celebrate the resurrection, and show me in the Bible where they celebrated the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Show me that. Read that to me. So now, if you can't find it in the Bible, then what is it? It's tradition of man, then, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
It is tradition of men.
Indeed.
And I'm going to show you what the Lord Himself said about you keeping the tradition of men. You know, I ain't mad at nobody. I ain't not coming down or discrediting nobody. I'm just showing you what you are worshiping. Do you know? You know, the Lord gave you Passover. Obviously, man gave you Easter. Now you got to decide. Now you got to decide. I'm going to bring it to you and then you decide. So now we see Easter, it was really talking about what? The Passover, wasn't it? So they say, you know what, we're going to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, which you can't find no such thing in the Bible, can you? Let's go now. Let's go to John, the 12th chapter. John, the 12th chapter. And we're going to deal with something else right here. I just want to bring it, because we're going to go step by step, this ritual that they deal with Easter. Because it starts off with what? Good Friday, don't it? We're at John 12 and 1. John 12 and 1. So we're going to take this ritual step by step. John 12 and 1. Go ahead and read that.
Then Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead.
Now, 6 days before the Passover, it said, then Jesus 6 days before the Passover came to Bethany, right? 6 days, but now we got to find out then what day was the Passover then, don't we? Let's go to Daniel the 9th chapter, Daniel 9. We got to find out what day was the Passover. Daniel 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 26. Daniel 9 and 26. We're almost done, aren't we? Just hold on a second. Daniel 9 and 26. Because he said 6 days before the Passover, right? Daniel 9 and 26. Go ahead and read that.
And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off.
But who is Messiah? That's Christ, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end thereof shall be with a flood. And until the end of the war, desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week.
Now wait a minute now, because you know I got a brother keep saying that this happened after or before Jesus died. You know, where they're going to destroy the city and the sanctuary. How could it happen before Jesus died? He said, after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. Telling you when he's going to be cut off, right? But not for himself, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and sanctuary. When was the city and the sanctuary destroyed? After Jesus was cut off, right?
That's right.
After Jesus was cut off. And the end there shall be with flood, and until the end of the war, desolation. And he shall confirm the covenant with many, what?
For 1 week.
For 1 week, go ahead.
And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease.
Now, if when he died, he gonna cause the sacrifice and oblations to cease. What day did he die on? He died on the Passover, right? But it said in the midst of the week, he shall cause sacrifice and oblations to cease. Now, so if he died on the Passover, and then he's going to die in the midst of the week. What's the midst of the week?
Wednesday.
Somebody don't understand what midst means. So we're going to read what midst means. We're going to the American Heritage College Dictionary. And we're going to look up the word midst. We're going to keep this real simple. What does midst mean? Because we read that earlier, didn't we? Go ahead.
Midst. The middle position part.
The middle position or part. So now, if he died, if he was cut off in the midst of the week, then what day was he cut off on then? Wednesday. So now, it says 6 days before the Passover, then what would that take you back to then? Thursday. Right? So now we're looking at a Thursday, right? That's 6 days before the Passover. So Jesus was cut off in the midst of the week, and then it says 6, so we know he died on a Wednesday, and if you go back 6 days, that's going to take you back to Thursday, ain't it? You finished with that?
It says, also it says the center, a position of proximity to others.
Now, let's see what happened 6 days before the Passover. Let's see what happened 6 days before the Passover. which would take us to a Thursday then, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
Let's go now. Let's go to John the 12th chapter. John 12. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. John 12 and 1. Let's see what happened. We're gonna read that again though. John 12 and 1. Let's see what happened 6 days before the Passover. Everybody with me?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.
Then Jesus 6 days before the Passover came to Bethany.
So we understand then that Jesus died in the midst of the week, which is Wednesday, right? You got 3 days before, and you got 3 days after, right? So Wednesday is what? The 4th day of the week. Only 7 days in a week. So 6 days before the Passover, which take us back to Thursday. Go ahead.
Then Jesus 6 days before the Passover came to Bethany, where Lazarus which had been dead when he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him.
Now that'd be real spooky there, wouldn't it? You know, Lord just raised you from the dead. You sitting at the table with us now. You've been dead for 4 days. I was like, man, somebody else sit next to him. But go ahead and read though.
Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with odor of ointment, the ointment.
Go ahead.
Then saith one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simeon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor?
See, he ain't worried about no money, because he the one who was carrying around the money. And then the Lord knew he was a thief. So he wasn't worried about no ointment being sold and all that stuff, unless he gonna sell it and put the money in his pocket. That's all. He wasn't worried about no ointment. Worried about the Lord and all that stuff. He worried about getting the money and trying to sell and trying to hold on to it, because he was a thief. And he is the one who kept the money bag. Ain't that something? The Lord say, yeah, he a thief. I'm gonna give him the money. Go ahead and read.
Verse 6. This he said, not that he cared for the poor.
See, he didn't care nothing about the poor. Go ahead.
But because he was a thief. And had the bag.
Go ahead.
And bare what was put therein. Then said Jesus, let her alone. Against the day of my burying hath she kept this.
Go ahead.
For the poor always ye have with you.
You see that?
But me
he said
ye have not always.
You always gonna have with you. The poor, you always gonna have with you, Israel. But go ahead and read.
But for me ye have not always. Much people of the Jews therefore knew that he was there, and they came not for Jesus' sake only, but they might see Lazarus also, whom he had raised from the dead.
Go ahead.
But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death.
Wait a minute now. The Lord done raise him up from the dead, now they want to put him back to death. For what? I'm telling you, boy, them Pharisees were something else, weren't they? Envious. Go ahead and read.
Verse 11. Because that by reason of him, many of the Jews went away and believed on Jesus.
See, they going to kill Lazarus, we're going to kill him and see if he raise him up again, I guess. Envious of Jesus. Go ahead and read.
On the next day, much people...
Wait a minute now. On the next day will be what? Friday. Everybody understand that? Because 6 days before the Passover, he died in the midst of the week, which is Wednesday, right? 6 days before that is Thursday, ain't it? On the next day is what? Friday. The 6th day of the week. On the next day, go ahead.
On the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem,
go ahead,
took branches of palm.
Oh, wait a minute. You see that? So it wasn't on no Palm Sunday then, was it? Because this is what they had last week, Palm Sunday. That wasn't on no Sunday then, was it? It was on a Friday. Can't even do that right. Can't get wrong right. You understand what I'm saying? So this took place on a Friday, not on no Sunday. Then if you're going to do wrong right, shouldn't you be kind of in sequence with things, you know? Shouldn't that have been Good Friday? That's what they should have called that day, Good Friday. He said on the next day, much of the people that will come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, took palm branches, took branches of palms trees. Go ahead.
And went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord.
You see that? So this happened on a Friday then, didn't it? Not on no Sunday. See, so if you're doing it on and then the Lord don't even tell you to celebrate this day, neither do we.
Come on, brother.
And if you're doing it on a Sunday, you really out of whack then, ain't you?
Yes.
So what is that then? Tradition of men. Tradition of men. Because you cannot find no such ritual or no such feast day in the Bible called Palm Friday or Sunday, can you?
No, sir.
Now, they're going to take something like this and make it, try to make it a holy day. But anyway, so now let's deal with something else. We're going to look up something right here. We're going to, let's look and see what Friday is. We're going to American Heritage College Dictionary. We're going to look up Friday.
The American Heritage College Dictionary, Friday, says the 6th day of the week.
The 6th day of the week. So we deal with Friday here, aren't we? Now we're going to deal with a little bit with this Good Friday here. Because you can't find, the reason why I'm going, because people, you always got all those encyclopedias and dictionaries and all this stuff, history books and all that. I'm saying, well, if I can't find something in the Bible, then shouldn't I go to the encyclopedia where it's written at? Or if I want to bag up, not that I need to, bag up something in the Bible and show you some history on it, shouldn't I go to encyclopedias? Now, we're going to show you where this Good Friday comes from. So for Good Friday, we're going to Encyclopedia Britannica. Was that Americana? Let's see. We're going to Encyclopedia Britannica. And we're going to look up Good Friday. So we see that, first of all, Palm Sunday, that Palm Day really was on a what? Friday. So we know that Palm Sunday, that's man-made, ain't it? Which is tradition of men.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad you young people are here so you all can see this. So when we were your ages, we would celebrate Easter, Christmas, Palm Sunday, Good Friday, everything. We couldn't wait for Good Friday to come. But we're going to be out of school that day.
That's what it meant, brother.
Then when Easter comes, we know that we get ready to get that daylight savings time too, didn't we?
This is the Encyclopedia Britannica. All right. It says Good Friday. The English name for the Friday before Easter.
See, this was yesterday. Okay? This was yesterday they called Good Friday. Well, we don't see no type of ritual like this in the Bible, do we?
Come on.
Go ahead and read.
Again, Good Friday, the English name for the Friday before Easter, kept as the anniversary of the crucifixion. The term is probably a corruption of God's Friday. It was called Long Friday by the Anglo-Saxons and Danes.
Oh, wait a minute. You see that? You see where this come from? The Gentiles. The Gentiles. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir.
And we know why they said Good Friday, because he was crucified, right? And then he couldn't remain on the cross. Because the next day was a Sabbath day, right? So everybody know what day is Sabbath day, so we're going to say Friday, because the next day is Sabbath day, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read. But we're going to show you. Jesus did, we already saw what day he died on. It was the middle of the week, wasn't it? Wednesday, wasn't it? Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. It says the term is probably a corruption of God's Friday. It was called Long Friday by the Anglo-Saxons and Danes, possibly in allusion to the length of the services which mark the day.
Mm-hmm.
The origin of the custom of a yearly commemoration of the crucifixion is somewhat obscure.
I know it is. I know it is. Go ahead.
It may be regarded as certain that among Jewish Christians, it almost participatingly grew out of the old habit of annually celebrating the Passover on the 14th
Y'all ain't
of
getting away with that.
Nisan.
You ain't getting away with that. This Good Friday did not come out of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Okay. It says of annual celebrating the Passover on the 14th of Nisan.
The Passover. They try to say that this came out of the past. This is where they got it from. Okay, show me then. Show me the Bible then. Show me where it is. Good Friday. Show it to me.
Okay. You ready?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Passover on the 14th of Nisan, and of observing the days of unleavened bread.
Hold on. Oh man, this is. Go ahead and read that again.
Yes, sir. Says the Jews Christian, it almost imperceptibly grew out of the old habit of annually celebrating the Passover on the 14th of Nisan. And of observing the days of unleavened bread from the 15th to the 21st of that month.
Yeah, see, they got the feast. They know what the Feast of Unleavened Bread is. They know what the Feast of Unleavened Bread is. Because that's when you celebrate. You start the unleavened bread on what? The 15th day of the first month.
Right.
And you keep it for what? 7 days. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. It says, in the Gentiles' churches, on the other hand, it seems to be well established that originally no yearly cycle of festivals.
Oh, wait a minute now. Read that over again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It says, in the Gentiles' churches, on the other hand, it seems to be well established that originally no yearly cycle of festivals were known at all.
Wait a minute now. In the Gentile churches, they weren't even known. So you know in Israel church it wasn't known. No such festival was known.
Then in parentheses they say, see Easter.
Go ahead.
And it says, from its earliest observance, the day was marked by an especially rigorous fast.
Oh, wait a minute now, wait a minute. So, you know, you want to keep this Good Friday. Are you fasting this day? Because that's what you're supposed to be doing. If you're going to do this, then you should be fasting this day then, shouldn't you? Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. From its earliest observance, the day was marked by a especially rigorous fast, and also on the whole, by a tendency to greater simplicity in the services of the church.
Go ahead.
Prior to the 4th century.
Hold it now. Before the 4th century, go ahead.
There is no evidence of non-celebration of the Eucharist on Good Friday.
See, before the 4th century, there was no such celebration of Good Friday. And you see who gave it to you, right? The Gentiles, which is pretty much the Roman Catholic Church, is the one who gave you this Good Friday.
Yes, sir.
Before the 4th century, there was no such thing, no. Neither did the Gentiles themselves even celebrate this. So we know that the Israelites didn't celebrate this then, don't we?
That's right.
So what is it then? It's tradition of man.
Pagan.
I ain't want to go there yet. You finished with that?
No, sir. It says, but after that date, the prohibition of communion became common.
So now we see when Good Friday, where it started at, and who started and everything, don't we? Now look at this now, because we're going to do some reading here. We're going to do some reading. We're going to the last 2 million years, and we're going to look up Easter. Go ahead.
This is the last 2 million years. Here, pagan rites.
Yes.
Pagan rites absorbed By a stroke of tactical genius, the church, while intolerant of pagans' beliefs.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Pagan beliefs. So what church we dealing with? We're not dealing with the Israel. We're dealing with the Catholic Church right here. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. It says, by a stroke of technical genius, the church, while intolerant of pagan beliefs.
Pagan beliefs. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and read.
Was able to harness the powerful emotions generated by pagan worship. Often churches were cited where temples had stood before, and many heathen festivals.
Just for your information, pagan means that they worship in false deities. Mm-hmm. That's what pagan is. But go ahead.
Yes, sir. Churches were cited where temples had stood before, and many heathen festivals were added to the Christian calendar.
Oh, you got nations. That's what heathen means. Many nations, with these festivals that they had, were added to the Christian calendar. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Easter.
Oh,
for instance.
Easter, for instance. It was added to the Christian calendar?
Yes, sir. It's written.
And it was what? Pagan. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is still today. Pagan. But go ahead and read. Now, this is the last 2 million years history book, but you can go in just about any history book and read this.
Yes, sir.
So now that you understand that this is pagan because you can't find this ritual in the Bible, in this Easter that you see in the Bible, they are saying that we're talking about Passover. So this particular ritual that people are keeping called Easter is what? Pagan.
Indeed.
Go ahead and read some more.
Yes, sir. It says Easter.
I'm going to show you just how pagan this is. People celebrating this day tomorrow, and they don't even understand who and what they are celebrating.
Make that plain, bro.
They don't understand who and what they're celebrating. And it's showing the resurrection of Jesus. You can say with your mouth all you want to, well, we're doing this for the resurrection of Jesus. Jesus didn't tell you to do that. He didn't tell you to do that. The day he tell you to keep, don't nobody keep that duty. Passover, don't nobody want to keep that duty. Feast of Unleavened Bread, they don't want to keep that duty. Go ahead and read some more though.
Easter, for instance, a time of sacrifice and rebirth in the Christian year, takes its name from the Norse goddess Estra, in whose honor rites were held every spring.
See, they trying to copy. You understand? Because that's when you had a Passover. The Lord said, this month should be the first of the months unto you. Right? The first day, the 14th day of the first month. That's when spring started, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
In the first month. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. She, in turn, was simply a northern version of Phoenician's earth mother, Astarte.
Astarte. Go ahead.
Astarte, goddess of fertility.
Goddess of fertility. Now, what this got to do with Christ? It ain't got nothing to do with Christ, do it? You know, people celebrating this and don't understand what they're celebrating. I told a brother, I said, man, look, don't get mad at me. Go and look this up. Oh, man, you call it pagan? No, how can you call something so holy pagan? It's not holy. It's pagan. How you going to turn something pagan and we'll show you it's an abomination to God and turn it into something holy? Only God can do that. Man can't take an unclean thing and make it clean. Trying to call Easter holy. If you want to call it, you want to worship Easter, that's fine, but don't call it holy, please.
Come on, brother.
Because it is not holy. It is pagan. Go ahead and finish that.
Yes, sir. Easter eggs continue an age-old tradition in which the egg is a symbol of birth.
Now, what this got to do with Jesus? We ain't looking at Jesus' birth. They say he's celebrating his resurrection, aren't they? What eggs got to do with this then? What does Easter eggs got to do with it?
Nothing.
Nothing. Go ahead and read some more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It says, Goddess fertility, Easter eggs continue an age-old tradition in which the egg is a symbol of birth, and cakes, which were eaten to mark the festivals Astarte and Estra, Estra were the direct ancestors of our hot cross bonds.
So now we're dealing with Astarte, and that's where the word Easter derives from, doesn't it? Astarte. Let's go ahead and read some more there.
Yeah.
Well, you finished?
I'm finished, yes.
Okay. Now, let's read some more. I told you we're going to do some reading today. So I hope y'all, cool. You understand? Because we're going to do some reading today. So now this Astarte, let's look and see just how pagan this is. I mean, because this is very pagan. Easter is very pagan. In fact, it is an abomination to God.
Yes, sir.
And you worshiping Easter. And proud. I mean, I know all the, you get to go and get a new dress and a new suit, and kids get the clothes and all to make it look real pretty and everything. But let me just show you how wicked this is. Read that now. Estra.
This is the Encyclopedia Americana, Volume 2. All right, Astarte.
Astarte, that's what we're looking at now, right? Easter, go ahead.
It says Astarte or Astoreth. Syrian goddess.
Wait a minute. Astarte or Astaroth, an Assyrian goddess. Go ahead now. Remember, Easter came from this now. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. It says probably identical with the Semele of the Greeks and Ashtoreth of the Hebrews, and worship also by the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians, being regarded by some as the original of the Greek goddess Aphrodite.
Oh, Aphrodite. You know Aphrodite got all the hands and stuff and arms and stuff. You see where this come from? You see what you worshiping? Go ahead now, you got a decision to make now, don't you? Well, hold on a minute though. Hold on a minute. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. It says the Greek goddess Aphrodite, in parentheses they have Venus. She was the moon goddess.
Didn't the Lord say don't have no other God before me? Right. That's the first commandment, ain't it?
Indeed.
Go ahead and read.
She was the moon goddess, or goddess of the heavens.
Goddess of the heavens. You know, the book says God is the God of heaven. The God of Israel is the God of heaven, isn't he?
Ain't that plain?
Go ahead and read.
It appears also to have been worshipped as the goddess of fruitfulness. In the Old Testament, Astarte is frequently mentioned as the goddess of Sidonian.
The Zidonians.
Zidonians. Okay. Sidonians, Zidonians.
Go ahead. It don't matter. Go ahead.
That's it, brother.
That's it? All right, so now we're dealing with Astarte, Astaroth, aren't we? Now let's go to the scripture. I know it's been a long time since we went there. Let's go to 2 Kings, the 23rd chapter. 2 Kings, the 23rd chapter. And let's look at this Astaroth, which is Easter, right? Astarte, Easter, Astaroth. We're dealing with the same goddess, aren't we? Let's go to 2 Kings, the 23rd chapter. 2 Kings 23. 2 Kings 23, and we're going to pick it up at verse 13. 2 Kings 23 and 13. Look at what the Lord had written about this Astaroth. Go ahead and read. Verse 13.
And the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the Mount of Corruption, which Solomon the king of Israel had built it for Ashtoreth.
Now wait a minute. Now that's that Astaroth, Astarte, Easter. We're looking at her now. Astaroth. Go ahead.
The abomination of the Zidonians.
Oh, wait a minute. The abomination of the Zidonians. So the Lord calls this Astaroth an abomination. But this Astaroth is Astarte, where Easter came from. So how you going to take this abomination and then link it to Jesus?
Whoa.
You're going to take this name Astaroth and link it to Jesus, which the Lord called an abomination.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand what you are worshiping right here when you worshiping Easter?
Yes.
You are worshiping an abomination. Read that again.
In the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the Mount of Corruption, which Solomon the king of Israel had builded for Eshereth, the abomination of Zidonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of Moabites, and for Malcolm, the abomination of the children of Ammon, did the king defile.
So now we got all these other gods, right? And the Lord called them abomination too, right?
Indeed.
So this Ashtaroth, which is Astarte, which is where Easter come from, this is an abomination then, ain't it?
It's written.
You understand? People don't even understand what they are worshiping when they keep Easter. Because, you try to, well, we're not doing it for that. We're doing it because we're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus. Well, a rose by any other name is still a rose, ain't it? It's still a rose. Now, let's go now. And he said, well, verse 14, read verse 14. Look at what they did.
Yes, sir. And he break in pieces the images and cut down the groves.
Go ahead.
And filled their places with the bones of men.
And this is what you should do with Easter. You need to cut it down. Cut it out of your life.
Kill it.
Because it is an abomination unto the Lord. It is an abomination. Now, let's go now. Let's go to Matthew the 28th chapter. Matthew the 28th chapter. Because people try to talk about this 3 days and 3 nights as though we don't understand what we read. We all read English. But then we don't understand what we read. Matthew 28, and so now, the Passover or Easter, you decide. Did Jesus die on Good Friday and rise Easter Sunday morning? Is that what he did? Or does that come from man? That come from man. The whole thing, even Easter itself, come from man, don't it? And it is an abomination. We at Matthew 28, and we're going to pick up at verse 1. Matthew 28, 1. Let's see if Jesus died on Good Friday and rose Easter Sunday morning. Because that's what they're trying to say, ain't it? Go ahead and read.
In the end of the Sabbath as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week.
Stop right there. In the end of the Sabbath as it dawned toward the first day of the week. Now, what's the Sabbath day? That's the seventh day, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Well, what come after the Sabbath day?
First day.
The first day. So this is when Jesus died and rose from the grave. And here you still got the seventh day and the first day of the week right here. So when did he do away with it then? Show me that. Yeah, this one of the first things my brother showed me when I first came into the Word of God. This one, and I was like, whoa. He's like, read it again. I'm like, what? Read it again. I had read it about 3 times. Then I got it. In the end of the Sabbath, the Sabbath is the 7th day of the week. As it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. The first day of the week, well, that's Sunday. We got the 7th day, which the Lord called a Sabbath, and we got the first day, which men call Sunday. Why is it still written in the Bible right here after Jesus died if he done away with it? Go ahead and read though.
Yes, sir. It says, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake.
Now wait a minute, they got there at the end of the Sabbath as it was dawning toward the first day of the week. They got there, remember that?
Yes, sir.
And behold, there was a great earthquake. Go ahead.
For the angel of the Lord descended from heaven. And came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it.
Go ahead.
His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the keepers did shake and became as dead men.
Go ahead.
And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified.
Go ahead.
He is not here.
He is not here. You understand what I'm saying? He is not here. So he was gone before they got there then, wasn't he?
It's plain.
They got there at the end of the Sabbath as it was dawning towards the first day of the week, and Jesus was gone already. So what day did he rise on then? The Sabbath day. The 7th day of the week. At the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the others, Mary to see the sepulchre. And the angel answered and said to them, unto the women, fear not, ye, for I know that ye seek Jesus which was crucified. He is not here. Go ahead and read.
6. He is not here, for he is risen, and as he said, come see the place where the Lord lay.
Go ahead.
And go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead, and behold, goeth before you into Galilee. There shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you.
Now, so we see now that Jesus died, rose then before the first day of the week, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Because if you count 3 days, that's the only day you can count is Wednesday. Is the 4th day of the week or the middle of the week or Wednesday. That's the only day you can count and get 3 days and 3 nights. Because Jesus told you he was going to be in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights, didn't he? Let's go now. Let's go to Mark the 16th chapter. Let's count that. Let's count that. You got Wednesday evening, because that's when he went in the grave in the evening, right? Wednesday evening and Thursday evening. That's 1 day and 1 night, ain't it?
That's it.
Thursday evening to Friday evening, that's 2 days and 2 nights, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Friday evening to Saturday evening, that's 3 days and 3 nights.
Yes, sir.
You can't get around that. Now, if he died on Good Friday, say he went, because he had to go to the grave in the evening, didn't he? So he went to the grave Friday evening to Saturday evening, that's 1 day and 1 night, ain't it? From Saturday evening to Sunday evening, that's 2 days. Wait a minute, I thought he died on Good Friday and rose Easter Sunday morning. We going all the way to Monday evening, aren't we?
Right.
See, the whole thing is a lie. The whole story is a lie. The whole story is a lie. They can't get wrong right. I mean, you can't get the 3 days and 3 nights. They said he was in the grave a day and a half. Not really even a day and a half. Because he went in there Friday evening and to Saturday evening, and he came out Sunday morning. What is that? A day and a half. Ain't that a day and a half? So now if you said he died Good Friday and rose Easter Sunday morning, then you call the Lord a lie then, aren't you? Because he said there's a sign of the prophet Jonah, that Jonah was in the belly of the whale 3 days and 3 nights. So shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. You got 12 hours in a day. You got 12 hours in a night, don't you? That's a day. 24 hours. So now you calling the Lord a lie. Then on top of that, you celebrate Astarte, Ashtaroth, which is an abomination to God. You all the way messed up, ain't you? But you can come out of it though. After you see this, then just make your decision. I'm going to keep the Passover. That's all.
That's it.
You can come up out of there, don't you? Can't you?
Yes, sir.
So the Lord said, I wish that none should perish, but that all should come to repentance. So you can repent from this. Let's go now. Let's go to Mark the 16th chapter. Mark 16. Mark 16. Every time I say, well, it ain't going to be that long, we wind up being long, don't we? Mark 16. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Mark 16 and 1. Everybody got it?
Amen.
Go ahead and read.
And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him.
Now he said when the Sabbath was past now. Now we're looking at the weekly Sabbath right here. When the Sabbath was past, go ahead.
And verily early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came into the sepulchre at the rising of the sun.
Now they got there very early in the morning at the rising of the sun, didn't they?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And they said among themselves, who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre?
Skip down to verse. Now they asked him, who gonna roll away this stone now? He's still in the. They think he's still in there, right? But he gone already, though, ain't he?
Indeed.
Verse 9, go ahead.
Now when Jesus was risen early the first day of the week.
See, that's where they think he rose the first day of the week. But we see now, he didn't rise on the first day of the week. He was already gone, wasn't he?
He was, brother.
Now when Jesus was risen the first day of the week, go ahead.
He appeared first to Mary Magdalene.
Didn't they tell them to go in the city and find Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
What day was that on? The first day of the week. Because he had already risen. When? The Sabbath day. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 devils.
Out of whom he had cast 7 devils. Let's go to Matthew the 27th chapter. Now look at this right here. Matthew 27. Back up to Matthew 27. And we're going to pick it up at verse 59. Matthew 27 and 59. Because remember we read earlier, it was a preparation day that the body should not remain upon the cross. For that day was a high day, right?
That's right.
Matthew 27 and 59. Go ahead and read.
And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth. And laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed.
Now remember they said, who's going to roll us back this stone from the sepulchre, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and read.
And there was Mary.
Now, I'll tell you what, hold it right here. Hold it right here. Let's go to, we're coming right back here. Let's go to, let's back up to Mark. Let's go to Mark, the 15th chapter. Let's go to Mark. Let's see when Jesus went into the grave. Mark 15. We're coming right back here to Matthew 27. So hold your hand. Let's see when Jesus went in the grave. We're going to Mark 15 and 42. Mark 15 and 42. Go ahead and read.
And now when the evening was come, because it was the preparation, that is the day before the Sabbath.
That is the day before the Sabbath. Now, we're not looking at the weekly Sabbath here, are we? What's the preparation day? The Passover. Because, now, what Sabbath are we looking at? The Feast of Unleavened Bread. Go ahead and read. What happened?
Joseph of Arimathea. That's it. Arimathea. And holy counselor, which also waited for the kingdom of God, came and went in boldly unto Pilate and craved the body of Jesus.
Go ahead.
And Pilate marveled if he were already dead. And calling unto him the centurion, he asked him whether he had been any while dead.
Go ahead.
And when he knew it of the centurion, he gave the body to Joseph. And he bought fine linen and took him down and wrapped him in the linen and laid him in the sepulchre, which was hewn out of a rock.
Go ahead.
And rolled a stone into the door of the sepulchre.
So now, when did Jesus go in the grave then? In the evening. Go ahead.
47. And Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, beheld where he was laid.
Now, let's go back to 27. Let's go back to Matthew 27. And we're going to pick it up where we left off at. Matthew 27, we're going to pick it up at verse 60.
60?
Pick it up at 59. We're going to read it over. Verse 59. Go ahead.
And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth. And laid it in his own new tomb.
Now, when did he lay it in a new tomb? In the evening, right? Go ahead, because we know he had to get his body down off the cross before the Sabbath day began, didn't he?